Darium's POV.
I wasn't feeling too well, my dinner tasted like vomit, and I was certain that my eyes were bloodshot and my throat was scratching. I thought it was a common cold that would easily pass, but now I felt my body becoming weak. It was my plan to ignore it after my combat with Nico, but it just seemed to worsen as the hour passed by. I was sure Letitia would worry out of her wits if she saw me like this. Getting up from my seat, I stumbled a little, holding onto the desk for support, when my office door pushed open and Nico walked in. He takes in my sick form before puffing out a sigh. I have never seen someone as stubborn as you are.
I will be fine.
I tried saying it, but ended up coughing along with my words. No, you are not. He counters, you have been working a lot, handling the affairs of the kingdom and trying to catch the culprit who keeps sending threatening letters. You are clearly stressed out. Why don't you take a break? Maybe a day or two. I can handle the matters of the court as long as they're not important. You need to rest. I shake my head, closing my eyes as I take deep breaths before peeling them open. I'm fine, it will pass. That's what you keep saying. I'm afraid I already informed Letitia. I glared at him, but he didn't seem affected. She should be here any moment from now. I know she is the only one that can drag you out of here and back to your chamber. You are sick, Darium. Your body isn't made of woods. I slouched back down on my seat, letting out yet another feverish breath. My eyes closed, finding it difficult to keep them open. The door opened, and Letitia walked in with a worried look on her face. She first glanced at Nico before her eyes shifted towards me. She took a step into the room, coming over to where I sat. Her brows were creased together. Are you okay? She placed her palm on my forehead, and her eyes widened. Come on, Darium, you are burning up. She said this, placing her palm on my cheek. I'm fine, Letitia, you don't have to worry. I say, leaning into her touch. I just need to rest for some time before finishing the work I was doing. She looked at me like I had two heads. You aren't doing anything. How can you think of working even in this condition? There's no way I'm letting you stay here even for a minute. We are going back to our chamber, and you are going to get treated and rest. She spoke in an authoritative voice. If not for the fact that my head was banging, like I was being hit repeatedly by a sledgehammer, I would have found her action very sexy, but that wasn't the case right now. My vision was a bit hazy, and I had sweat pouring down my face. Letitia. I groaned out, trying to get her to listen to me, but she caught me off guard, her tone leaving no room for argument. Don't Letitia me, we are going back to our chambers, and that's final. She commands before turning to look at Nico. Can you help me lift him up and take him to our chamber? She asked, and he nodded, walking over to where I sat and lifting me up. He held the left side of my hand, putting it on his shoulder, while Letitia put the right side of my hand on her shoulder. They both carried me out of the room, taking me down the hall until we got to our chamber. We walked over to the bed, and I was gently placed on it with the cover wrapped around my body. Letitia sits beside me, running her hand over my hair softly, removing some strands that were glued to my forehead due to sweat. Can you get the healer, Nico? There is no need, Letitia. Darium. She yells, frustrated. His wife is about to give birth. It will be wrong to take him out of her sight. This is their first child together after being married for so many years. I tried to reason with her, but my voice came out croaking. Letitia signs, getting to her feet. She paced around the room like she was deep in thought before stopping. Turning towards Nico. Can you inform Kiva to help me with a bowl of water? Then you can retire to your room. I'm sure you are probably tired. Are you sure? He asked, worried sipping from his tone. Yes, don't worry, Neith is probably worried. I will keep an eye on him and try to bring down his fever. Fine, I will let Kiva know right away. He bows his head, his eyes shifting to me on the bed, before leaving the room. She moved towards me, taking a seat back down beside me. She didn't touch me, but I could still feel the warmth radiating from her. I moved from the covers and got closer to her, causing her to flinch a little when I placed my head on her lap. I knew she was worried and wanted to take care of me, but the last thing I wanted was to risk her health all because of me. I didn't want her to catch whatever illness I had, but I knew there was no way she was ever going to leave me alone, not in this state, which made my heart warm. I circled my hand around her waist, then relaxed, taking in her intoxicating scent. She placed her hand on my head, then began massaging it gently. It felt good, making me relax even more. "How are you feeling?"
Cold.
I groaned out, shifting even closer to her. My hot breath fanned her stomach as she pulled the cover over my body. Letitia gently lifted my head up, placing it back on the pillow, and got up to her feet when she heard a knock on the door. Walking over to it, she twisted it open, and I closed my eyes, taking in another deep breath. I heard the sound of the door closing, causing me to open my eyes. Letitia walked back to the bed with a bowl of water and a white towel on her shoulder. Placing the water on the table beside the bed, she took a seat back on the bed, putting my head on her lap again before dipping the white towel inside the water, squeezing it, and then placing it on my head. She repeated it a couple of times, and I wasn't sure how long she kept doing that until I found my eyes closing shut. This time I didn't pull open, as I found myself drifting off to sleep with Letitia brushing over my head and humming a sweet lullaby to my ears. When the first ray of sunlight hit my face, it felt like I was slowly getting back to myself. My fever was slightly gone, and my body, though still weak, was regaining its strength. I turned my head to the side where Letitia sleeps, finding it empty and panic flowing in me. I shook up from the shock in full force and ended up groaning as my head began to ache and my vision became somewhat blurry. I took a deep breath, waiting for the pain to subside and my vision to clear. It wasn't until I tried moving my hands that I realized I wasn't able to lift the left side of my hand. Turning towards the left side of the bed and was graced with Letitia's familiar, unique white hair. She was sitting on her chair, her head resting on the bed, with her hand holding onto mine. I scanned the side of the bed to see another bowl of water beside the first one Kiva brought, with a box of medicine by the side. I sighed, placing a hand on her head, brushing her hair, moving down to her face, and moving her hair, which had fallen to her face, before caressing her cheek. She stirred, and I immediately removed my hand, but it was too late as she had already woken up. She rubs her hand over her eyes in a cute manner, trying to ward off the sleep. When her eyes met mine, they widened. She hastily got to her feet, scanning my face with her hand on my forehead to check my temperature. "I'm okay," I tell her with a weak smile, but she pays me no heed as she carries on checking my temperature, placing her other hand on her head, and comparing our temperatures. "You still have a fever, but it seems to be better than yesterday. You should be fine before the evening as long as you remain in bed." I can't. There was no way I could sit in bed when I had the affairs of the kingdom to attend to. I have meetings to attend to and will be meeting with the elders of the council. She rolls her eyes, folding both her hands across her chest, giving me a stern look. "You don't have to worry about anything today. Nico has agreed to handle the matters of the morning while I meet with the elders of council later today." She responds, her tone sharp. "I don't think the people would appreciate knowing their king wasn't keeping fit, so quit being stubborn and let me take care of you." I let out a defeating sigh, falling back to the bed. If it would remove the worry from her face, I had no choice but to comply. She pulls the cover over me, leaning down to peck my forehead. "You are going to fall sick too if you keep touching me." "I don't care," she responded adamantly, "and yet they say I was the stubborn one. I will go make you some soap, then you can have the medicine Leon gave Nico." She said this, heading to the door, but I stopped her, holding onto her hand. "Darium, don't go," I mumbled out. "I will be back, I need to." "No," I whined. "Don't leave me, I'm not feeling too well." I whined even more like a child. I felt her sigh as she sat beside me. I raised my head from the pillow, placing it on her lap. She puts her hands on my head, massaging it like she did last night. I didn't realize when I fell asleep again, but when I opened my eyes, the room was empty, and Letitia was not in sight. I glanced out of the window to see that the day was getting darker, which meant that I had been asleep the whole day. The door opened, and Letitia walked in. She was dressed different from this morning, while holding on to a tray in her hands. "Hey," she greeted me with a smile, dropping the tray on the table beside the bed. "Does your head still hurt?" "No," my voice came out hoarse. "Good, I brought a bowl of soup for you. Eat, so that I can give you your medicine." "Can you feed it to me?" She smiles cheekily at me, her hand on my cheek as her thumb caresses my skin. I didn't know you would turn into a complete child when you are sick. I pout, and she laughs, picking up the spoon. She took a spoonful of soup, bringing it close to my lips, and I opened my mouth, taking a bite. She continued to feed until the plate was cleared, then handed me a glass of water with the medicine, which I drank. She took the cup from my hand, placing it on the tray and helping me out of bed. She walked up to the couch by the window with the cover still wrapped around my body. We took a seat, gazing out at the night sky. My head rested on her shoulder.
Darium's POV.
We got news that Letitia's family, King Ventura, his wife, and son Prince Devlin, are close to the border and would be here at the palace by sunrise. One of the guards informed me. I was at the throne room with the official, having our usual daily meeting after being absent yesterday, when a guard walked in, excusing himself, saying he had information to pass from the border. Truthfully, I didn't want any of Letitia's family in the palace, and I knew she felt the same. I wasn't blind not to notice how uncomfortable she felt in the presence of her sister, Princess Catrona. I wasn't sure what their ploy was, but I planned on keeping a watchful eye on them. They were no doubt up to no good.
Well then, prepare the palace for their arrival. Have their rooms cleaned and tidied up in the West Wing, where their daughter, Princess Catrona, resides. Also, have guards posted around the palace and kingdom. They should be alert for any suspicious activity. If by any means they come across anything out of place, it should be reported back to me or Nico.
I command. Do keep it to yourself. I still need to tell the queen, my wife, of the arrival of her family. The guard nods, leaving the room. The rest of the council of elders and officials got to their feet, bowing their heads before leaving the room. I sighed, sitting back down on my throne. This was going to be one hell of a hectic week or weeks, though I don't think the King of the Hades will stay away from his throne for more than a week. Beautiful, why don't you bring us liquor? Zane says sweetly to a maid beside him, and she shyly looks away, her face stained red, before leaving. Why exactly are you here and not in Silvio? I asked with a raised brow. He gasped dramatically, placing a hand to his chest as he feigned being hurt. Nico, who was sitting down beside him, laughs, shaking his head. I'm hurt, Darium. How can you say that to your best friend, who traveled all this way just to see you? He whines, pouting his lip, and I roll my eyes in response, watching as he cleans the fake tear at the side of his eyes. Letitia's birthday is 2 days from now. You don't really expect me not to join in the celebration. You know how dear she is to me. I glared at him and his smirks before speaking. You know I consider her a little sister. He concludes before bursting out laughing along with Nico. The door pulls open, and the maid walks in with a tray in her hand, with liquor and cups. I'm going to have to leave the two of you alone while you enjoy your drink, I said to them, getting up from my seat. You aren't drinking with us? Nico asked. I'm afraid not. I need to get back to Letitia. I still have to inform her of the arrival of the rest of her family. I don't want her to be caught off guard. After informing them, I walked out of the throne room, walking down the hall to my chambers. When I got in, I saw Letitia sitting by the mirror with the skinniest night robe while she combed through her hair. She got to her feet when she saw me, a smile on her face. Don't you look enticing this evening? She blushes at my compliment, my eyes shines in adoration, taking in her beauty. I could never get tired of the way her body reacts to my close proximity and touch. Brushing my thumb teasingly on her lips, making sure to leave soft tingles. Your lips are so soft and inviting. My voice grew husky. She subconsciously brought out her tongue to wet her lips, and my eyes followed every movement. Bringing my face closer to hers, my eyes shifted from her lips. My lips immediately claimed hers in a passionate kiss, and my tongue dipped and swirled, tasting every corner of her mouth. I lifted her up, and she instantly wrapped her legs around my waist. Her hands rested behind my neck, and my erection pressed against her front as I hungrily kissed her. I licked and sucked her bottom lips, biting down on them softly, and she moaned. We pulled apart to catch our breath as I continued to trail kisses on her, moving to her neck, sucking and biting on her sensitive skin. Edlardi, I called out, and she hummed. Her voice sounded tired.
Your family is already at the border and would be here by sunrise.
Letitia's I can't believe they were really here. I held onto my dress tightly, trying to build up the strength to face them again. I never thought I would ever see them again, not after they gave me up without so much as a blink of an eye. Yet here they were with the excuse of coming for my birthday celebration, something they had never done before or cared about. Breathing in and out, I stand in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection. There was no doubt I looked graceful and elegant in my dress. Kiva had done a great job getting me prepared. I had on my gold crown, which matches the dress I had on. I looked nothing less than a queen, and I planned on acting like one. I won't let them control me like they did back in Hades. I am strong and confident, nothing like my old self. I chant to myself while taking deep breaths. The door opens, and Darium walks in, putting on matching royal attire with a matching crown on his head. He stood there looking at me for a good 5 minutes before walking over to me. He leans down, his lips close to mine, and gives me a quick kiss. "You are beautiful, Letitia." I totally lost my breath for a second just gazing at you. He compliments me, causing me to blush. He stretched his hand out for me to take, and I did. "Are you ready?" "No, I'm not." I mumbled under my breath, but he heard me. "It's going to be okay, Letitia, I'm here beside you. If you don't want to greet them, you can always stay here and rest. What is more important is how you feel. I don't give a damn if they find it insulting not having us greet them at the entrance." The sincerity in his tone was pleasing. I knew he would no doubt do as he said, but I found myself shaking my head and turning down his offer. I refused to be a coward. I knew they would no doubt feel like they had a hold over me. I would rather die than give them such satisfaction. "Let's go," I said to him, my voice coming out boldly. Darium smiled at me proudly, bending to peck my head, and then we began heading out of our chamber to the entrance of the palace, where my family stood waiting. When we got there, we saw that my sister Katrona was already there, in the embrace of both my father and mother. My eyes shifted away from them, moving over to my brother, Prince Devlin, who was standing behind them, gazing lovingly at the scene in front of them, but he wasn't alone. There was a girl standing beside him in royal attire. She was no doubt beautiful, her fair skin glowed with her white teeth. Her eyes sparkled under the sun, making the green in them visible. Devlin was the first to notice the presence of the king and me. His eyes widened, taking in my form like he was finding it hard to believe I was the one standing in front of him. The smile on his face slowly wiped off, and he took a small step towards me. "Letitia," he called out with a smile on his face, breaking the union that seemed to be going on. Devlin must have noticed the cold exterior on my face, causing his steps to stop and a guilt look on his face. The same look he had on the day I was being married off. I couldn't force myself to feel welcome towards him, even though he had been the one who sometimes stood up for me against the king, queen, and Katrona. Yet I couldn't shake off the thought of the day I was forced to marry Darium, my mother's words about all this being Devlin's idea, and the guilty look he had as he avoided my eyes. He was just like the rest of them, pretending to care for me, but ending up giving me to the wolves the minute there was trouble, just to save his lovely sister. "You are squeezing the daylight out of my hand, Edlardi," Darium softly whispers against my ear, making me realize the tight grip I had on his hand. I quickly loosen my hold on his hand, giving him an apologetic look. "My offer still stands. We can walk back to the palace and let the guards and maids attend to them." I shake my head, turning down his offer once again. Gazing back at them, I find both the king and queen making their way to me, my father being the first to get to me. He smiled widely with a glimmer of tears in his eyes, and I felt my fist clench at how well he acted. "Letitia, honey. I have missed you so much." He pulled me into a big hug, holding me tightly, but I didn't wince, nor did I hug him back. I just remained rooted in my spot, waiting for him to put an end to his drama. He took a step back, only for my mother to take his place, hugging me as well. "My beautiful younger child, how I missed you so much! The palace was not the same without your cheerful presence." She rambled on, but I didn't respond, giving her the same treatment as I did my father. "King Sviatoslavic, it is a pleasure seeing you again." My father stretched out his hand for Darium to take, which he took half-heartedly, his expression bored. "You seem to be getting younger every single day, Your Majesty." One won't know you are 5 years older than my daughter, the queen. With your looks, you can pass as an 18-year-old lad yourself. My mother gushed, laughing while hitting Darium's chest. Okay, gross.